Have you ever wondered why some individuals seem to effortlessly ascend to the pinnacle of success, garnering honor, influence, and triumph, while others, no matter how honest or diligent, appear destined for obscurity, deception, and betrayal? The truth can sometimes be unbearably bitter, but it must be spoken. Good intentions alone are not enough in this world. In this ruthless race, those who haven't mastered the hidden laws of power will always find themselves at a disadvantage. And no one deciphered these laws more profoundly than Niccolò Machiavelli, the great political thinker who, over 5 centuries ago, presented the world with one of the most controversial books of all time. The Prince, prepare to learn about the secrets hidden within the pages of this profound work, about the psychological games that can elevate you to the heavens or cast you into the abyss, and about the scandalous tactics used by the powerful to control the destinies of others. But most importantly, you will see how these lessons, which once cost many their lives, can become your shield and sword in the modern world. Read until the end, and you will discover something that will change your perception of human nature forever. Unlike countless self-help guides that tirelessly advocate for constant kindness, amiability, and subservience, Machiavelli reveals the true mechanics of the world and teaches you how to survive this dangerous game without becoming its victim. But be extremely careful. This is not about transforming into a heartless manipulator or a ruthless tyrant. It is a call to awaken your strategic genius, to build an unbreakable defense against the intrigues of others, and ultimately to become a person who commands respect, is strong, and absolutely unassailable. In this narrative, you will be presented with 10 psychological tactics rooted deeply in Machiavelli's teachings. Remarkably, these principles still work flawlessly today, whether in the labyrinth of personal relationships, on the thorny path of a career, or in the complex tapestry of social connections. Prepare yourself. Some of these truths will be quite uncomfortable, while others will be truly liberating, but all are united by a single goal: to return full control over your own life to you. Part 1. Pretend weakness to disarm your rivals. Machiavelli once stated, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few feel what you really are." This is, without a doubt, one of the most dangerous and, at the same time, most powerful keys in the game of power. Never, under any circumstances, reveal your true strength immediately. We live in a world where an excessive display of power invariably frightens people. Being overly competent annoys those around you. Possessing excessive strength stirs hidden envy. Therefore, one of the most sophisticated tactics involves the exact opposite: pretending to be weak, naive, or completely neutral, observing everything that happens in complete silence. This is truly the game of a lion skillfully donning the skin of a gentle lamb. Pause for a moment and reflect deeply. How many times have you revealed your true potential only to be sabotaged or undermined in return? How many times have you spoken too many words and someone masterfully used them against you? Machiavelli warned us, he who reveals all his thoughts becomes incredibly vulnerable. He who shows all he knows instantly becomes a target. By pretending to be more harmless than you truly are, you gain invaluable time, gather vital information, and acquire a strategic advantage that cannot be overstated. This is not a sign of cowardice. It is the highest form of self-control. It is akin to a seasoned chess player who allows their opponent to revel in the illusion of an imminent victory until delivering the decisive checkmate. Rule 2. Never depend on others' pity. Make yourself feared. If there is one truly dangerous illusion that many people carry throughout their lives, it is the unwavering belief that their kindness will inevitably be rewarded. The conviction that if they are always kind, understanding, and pleasant, the world will respond in kind. But Machiavelli viewed reality with icy composure. He had no time for such illusions. According to him, the fatal mistake is not in being kind, but in being entirely dependent on the kindness of others. For when you rely on the pity of others, you irrevocably surrender your survival into their hands, which is tantamount to voluntarily handing your life over to an enemy. Machiavelli advised that it is far safer to be feared than loved, not because love is without value, but because love is fragile, fickle, and always conditional. Fear, however, when skillfully and wisely managed, creates clear, unbreakable boundaries. It instills deep respect even in the absence of the person themselves. Consider this: one who is feared does not need to raise their voice. Their mere presence commands silence. The beloved, on the other hand, must constantly confirm their value, remain pleasant, and painstakingly avoid confrontation. But here lies a crucial distinction. Inspiring fear does not mean being cruel. It means being unyieldingly firm. It means earning respect from the very first moments of interaction, making it clear through your actions that you have unshakable boundaries and that you know exactly what you are doing. People who fail to command respect at the outset will ultimately be ruthlessly trampled. Moreover, the fear Machiavelli speaks of is not built on mindless cruelty, but on impeccable conduct and decisiveness. This is a story of the struggle for power, of the invisible threads that control human actions, of the price that must be paid for every step on the path to greatness. Perhaps if Machiavelli had not dared to expose these ruthless truths, the world would have been more naive, but also far more vulnerable. What do you think? Could we have done without these lessons? Or will humanity always need such a cold gaze at its nature? Write in the comments which of these principles seemed most shocking to you. If this story about the cost of power resonates with you, give it a like. And so you don't miss new dramas where destinies intertwine with great ideas, subscribe to the channel. Here we talk about those whose wisdom was genuine, but whose price was too high. Introduction. Imagine a world where kindness is a sentence and excessive openness is a path to inevitable reckoning. A world where every gesture, every word, can become either a shield or a sharp blade aimed directly at your heart. Today we will delve into the darkest corners of human nature, where great minds sought the keys to survival and absolute power. Why do some ascend to peaks while others vanish without a trace in the shadows? What do those who seem invulnerable hide behind their smiles? Prepare to learn the shocking truth about how an ancient philosophy can overturn your understanding of strength, control, and even yourselves. And believe me, what you are about to hear will make you look at everyone around you in a new light. This energy, like an unseen shield, silently proclaims, "Do not trifle with me." Ironically, even through a smile, this truth remains inconvenient. If you always appear approachable, always understanding, always kind, you will inevitably become an object of exploitation. The world invariably interprets excessive kindness as a manifestation of weakness, and where weakness is perceived, predators immediately appear. Machiavelli understood perfectly. For a lamb to survive among a pack of wolves, it needs teeth. Being merely kind is not enough. You must be unassailable. And for that, you need those around you to think twice before crossing your path. Make yourself inspire awe not through words, but through your demeanor, your attitude, through the silence of one who knows their capacity to crush, but currently chooses not to. Rule 3. Be cold as steel. Emotions or vulnerabilities. Machiavelli was not a moral preacher. He was first and foremost a strategist. And like any outstanding strategist, he deeply understood that whoever allows emotions to guide them will always end up in the hands of others. For emotions are like invisible threads that are so easy to pull, so simple to manipulate. How many times have you witnessed someone lose everything due to a fit of anger, or make a ridiculous decision because they were too excited, too frightened, or too consumed by envy? The true essence is that uncontrolled emotions make you predictable. And in the grand game for influence, being predictable is signing your own death warrant. For if those around you know what upsets you, what causes you fear, what fascinates you, they know precisely how to control you. A rational opponent is dangerous, but an emotional one is pliable like clay. Machiavelli advised that a leader, and indeed anyone striving for outstanding achievements, should act with the coolness of a seasoned surgeon, analyzing all facts, carefully weighing every risk, and decisively cutting away the unnecessary without hesitation. This might mean making extremely unpopular decisions. It might require sacrificing something important now for a great victory in the future. And this certainly did not mean being insensitive. It meant possessing perfect self-control. You can experience the deepest feelings, but no one should know about them. Your face should remain neutral, your speech calculated, your reaction minimal. Because he who does not reveal his emotions controls the entire game. The world is full of people who succumb to momentary impulses, explode in public, cry in front of others, or take offense at every trifle. They are easy prey. Machiavelli would likely tell us, learn to swallow everything necessary, mask your anger with a smile, hide your fear behind outward calm, because ultimately, that is where true power lies. Moreover, maintaining composure is not just protection, it is a powerful weapon. When you are composed, you can clearly analyze the behavior of others. You see their insecurities, their vulnerabilities, their weak points. And unlike impulsive people, you will never miss your chance. You act at the most opportune moment. In the chess game of life, the emotional player moves hastily and makes mistakes. The composed player watches in silence, patiently waits for the right opportunity, and then, with one precise move, overthrows the king. Rule 4, have allies, but never depend on anyone. If Machiavelli conveyed anything to us with crystal clarity, it is that excessive trust is extremely dangerous. In the grand game of power, whoever relies entirely on others always remains vulnerable to betrayal, instability, or a simple lack of support at a critical moment. This is not a pessimistic view of the world. It is merely an accurate reading of reality. Friendship is certainly useful, and partnership is sometimes necessary, but dependence is a mortal risk. For every time you place your fate in the hands of another person, you lose control over your own game. You risk becoming a burden that needs to be carried, rather than a player who achieves everything through their own efforts. Machiavelli saw the world as a vast chessboard where alliances must be forged with wisdom, not naivety. He instructed, use allies as stepping stones to ascend, not as crutches to lean on. They should serve to push you forward, not to carry you. How many people do you know who never achieved anything alone, who always needed someone to open a door, support their decisions, or save them when things went wrong? These people are condemned to live in the shadow of others. When their patrons collapse, they fall with them. You need allies, yes, you need contacts, connections, entire networks of support, but each such alliance must be built strategically without turning into dependence. And even more importantly, you must always be ready to go it alone. Because ultimately, truly powerful individuals are those who have alliances but could survive without them. Perhaps if the hero of this story had mastered these ancient lessons earlier, his path would have unfolded completely differently. Or perhaps he realized their true value too late. What do you think? Did he have a chance to change everything? Or was the ending inevitable in a world where kindness is weakness? Write in the comments which of these principles, in your opinion, he underestimated the most. If this story resonates with you, give it a like. And so you don't miss new dramas and lessons that life itself bestows upon us, subscribe to the channel. Here we talk about those whose strength was undeniable, but whose price was too high. The tragic cost of great ambitions, a ruthless struggle for a place in the sun where every step can be the last. Today, we will plunge into the abyss of human nature, where power is not a gift, but a hard-won right, acquired through blood, sweat, and at times apostasy. Before you unfolds a story of those who dared to defy fate but could not escape its cunning traps. We will see how great minds, whose names echoed through the centuries, became hostages to their own decisions, how their triumphs turned into bitter solitude, and how alliances that seemed unbreakable crumbled into dust. You are about to hear a confession about the cruel lessons life teaches those who yearn to rule, about how true strength is born, not from without, but from the very heart, and about how a single choice once made can forever change the course of events. Prepare to discover what secrets lie behind the mask of power, and why sometimes, behind power, there is only the shadow of former greatness. He could have survived without them. Niccolò Machiavelli, a great thinker whose words echo through centuries, tirelessly warned, "He who ascends to the top by standing on the shoulders of others is doomed to a fragile, unstable existence, dependent on the whims of others." True power, in his conviction, must grow from within, from your own abilities, impeccable reputation, sharp intellect, and well-thought-out strategy. And this, in turn, means mastering the art of breaking ties when circumstances demand it. This is not about mere ingratitude. It is a deep understanding that the rules of the game are constantly changing, and those incapable of adapting are doomed to be left behind by history. How many great rulers have fallen, blinded by excessive trust? How many influential figures have lost everything by remaining loyal to allies whose usefulness had long expired? Perhaps such thoughts seem cruel, but Machiavelli did not seek to describe an ideal world. He merely dispassionately stated reality as it is. Ultimately, allies are certainly necessary, but absolute dependence on anyone is a path to defeat. Genuine power is always self-sufficient. Rule 5. Relentlessly cultivate an image of power. You may possess an outstanding mind, be an unparalleled expert, and a brilliant strategist, but if you do not know how to demonstrate it, your virtues will go unnoticed. In the ruthless game for influence, perception is often far more important than truth itself. And this is not a flaw in society. It is a manifestation of human nature in its most undisguised form. Machiavelli, once again ahead of his time, asserted, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few feel what you really are." This is precisely why a person striving for respect, authority, and dominance must learn to shape their image with the same meticulousness with which they develop their intellect. People judge, and they judge swiftly. They will not wait to hear your arguments. They watch closely, pick up on tone of voice, notice your posture, and in just a few moments, they deliver a verdict. Is this person strong or weak, confident or hesitant, a born leader or merely expendable material? If you haven't realized this yet, accept it as an axiom. The world has no respect for the invisible, the doubting, the confused. And if you do not take control of creating your own image, someone else will. And believe me, it will always turn against your interests. Appear virtuous even if you are not. Seem wise even if you are only at the beginning of your journey of knowledge. Remain calm even when the whole world around you is crumbling. This is not hypocrisy. It is a carefully considered strategy. A monarch will never show insecurity in public, even if fear torments them within. A general will not demonstrate hesitation before their soldiers, even if doubts gnaw at them, for they both know the image they project is the foundation that holds the entire system around them. Image fuels respect, and respect fuels control. But do not be deceived. Cultivating an image of power is not just about dressing impeccably or delivering high-flown speeches. It is a whole complex. Your posture, your gaze, your body language, your tone of voice, your unflappable composure under pressure, your ability not to react like a frightened creature in the face of criticism or conflict. Everything conveys information. Everything reveals or conceals. The person who masters themselves utterly masters the situation. Appearance is of colossal importance, and to deny this is to admit your own insignificance. Care for your image as a warrior cares for their blade. Dress with deep meaning, move with deliberate purpose, speak clearly and precisely. But even more importantly, embody self-presence. When you enter a room, your energy should be felt even before your voice is heard. And when you speak, every word should carry weight. Speak less, but speak better. A person who utters words with pauses, with a certain rhythm, with calmness and unshakable firmness, commands far more respect than one who has to shout to be heard. You don't have to be the most beautiful, the wealthiest, or the strongest. You need to be the most purposeful. People instinctively sense when you know exactly who you are and what your mission is. Confidence is silent, but it is ruthless. It is what makes even the most powerful think twice before disrespecting you. And confidence is born not from arrogance, but from clarity. Clarity in who you are, what you accept, and what you will never accept. Demonstrate competence, and even more importantly, make those around you believe in your competence. Sometimes such perception opens doors that years of painstaking, invisible work never would. For the world does not reward the deserving. It rewards those who know how to appear deserving. You can endlessly wait for the world to one day justly recognize your value, or you can learn to consciously project that value every day. Perhaps if the great rulers of antiquity had realized these lessons sooner, their destinies would have unfolded differently. Or on the contrary, it was precisely these lessons that led them to the peaks, but also to the personal price that was paid. What do you think? Did they have a chance to change everything, or was the ending predetermined even before the journey began? Write in the comments which of Machiavelli's lessons seems most cruel, yet most truthful to you. If this story resonates with you, give it a like. And so you don't miss new dramas and lessons from history, subscribe to the channel. Here we talk about those whose glory was genuine, but whose price was too high. Have you ever wondered what lies behind the facade of successful individuals? What allows some to rise above circumstances, while others are forever consumed by oblivion? Today, we will delve into the mysteries that shape destinies and uncover secrets capable of transforming your life. Before you, a story will unfold about power and downfall, about those who managed to master their fate, and those who paid the price for their own blindness. Prepare to learn what fatal mistakes many commit and how to avoid the fate of those who found themselves on the brink of an abyss. What you are about to hear may shock you and force you to reconsider everything you thought you knew about the path to true triumph. Stay with us until the very end, for the most profound revelations await you. They embody this value daily, as if it were their very breath. This isn't about empty vanity or a desire to merely shine. It's about the very essence of survival, the ability to influence the world around them, and unyielding leadership. The image a person projects outward becomes their invisible yet impenetrable armor, and those who possess it rarely become targets for attack. Become someone who appears unshakable, and over time, this quality will take root in your soul, transforming into true inner strength. The sixth rule states, turn the capriciousness of fate to your advantage. In our world, there are powerful unseen currents that are beyond any human's control. The great Machiavelli called this fortune. Coincidences, sudden turns, a chain of events that cannot be foreseen but inevitably affect everyone. Some are inclined to view this as mere luck or misfortune, yet Machiavelli understood perfectly. Fortune itself is not responsible for a person's triumph or defeat. It is how one prepares for its arrival that determines their future path. Fortune is like a mighty river. In calm times, its waters flow slowly, steadily, and predictably. But when heavy rains descend, it overflows its banks, floods everything in its path, bringing destruction. A prudent person is one who builds dams even before the flood begins. This is someone who anticipates natural cycles, who doesn't wait for chaos to arrive before acting, but prepares for it long before it comes. Such a person, when the wave rises with it, conquering it. The unprepared, however, inevitably drown. You cannot control the moment when a door of opportunity opens before you, but you can and must be fully ready when it does. How many people lament life's unfairness, the imperfections of the system, yet continue to live in complete unpreparedness? They exist as if tomorrow will always be an exact copy of today. And when the unforeseen arrives, they beg for mercy from a world that has no time for weakness. Opportunity doesn't send warnings. It comes to test you. It knocks on the door only once. And if you are not ready to meet it, it will not return. Therefore, your primary duty is to constantly be in a state of complete readiness. This means relentless skill development, and you should have many. It means reading more, delving deeper into knowledge, understanding what is happening in the world, on the streets, in people's minds. It means broadening your horizons far beyond the obvious. Fortune favors the vigilant, not those who passively wait. Imagine two people faced with the same opportunity. One sees only a problem, an insurmountable barrier. The other, however, sees a loophole, a path to a solution. The first retreats, gives up. The second, on the contrary, moves forward decisively. What distinguishes them? Only their degree of preparedness. Chance favors only those who have already positioned themselves, who are ready for action. And such a position can only be achieved through clarity of thought, supreme competence, and constant motion. Do you want fortune to accompany you? Then become the person who knows exactly what to do when luck appears on the horizon. This is not a romantic dream. It is pure, cold strategy. While the weak offer prayers for a chance, the strong quietly but persistently prepare. They master new skills, forge new connections, explore uncharted territories, and confront new discomforts. They understand that life can be unfair, but preparation is a unique form of invisible justice. In the long run, it invariably rewards the disciplined. Fortune is like the wind. It blows for everyone without exception, but only propels the ship that has unfurled its sails. The others are left to drift, entirely at the mercy of fate, forgotten by all. So raise your sails, grasp what others ignore, listen to what others disdain, and take risks where others hesitate. Because when opportunity passes by, and it surely will, you will know exactly what to do. Remember, luck doesn't belong to the lucky. It belongs to the prepared. 7. Learn from the mistakes of others. Time is ruthless with those who stubbornly insist on learning only through their own pain and suffering. Machiavelli, always attentive to the subtleties of human nature and the intricate game of power, presents us with a simple yet incredibly profound truth. The blunders of others are silent but loud warnings, and our main task is to heed them. History is full of accounts of individuals whose fates crumbled due to pride, reckless haste, or profound ignorance. The wise person observes these downfalls, carefully analyzes their root causes, and builds their own strategy, erecting it upon the ruins of others. There is no glory in repeating predictable failures. Many choose the hardest path, insisting on learning exclusively through personal experience, as if practice is the only effective way to grow and develop. But this is nothing more than arrogance, cleverly disguised as bravery. True intelligence lies not in making mistakes to learn, but in carefully observing those who have already blundered, learning without spilling one's own blood, and advancing with an undeniable advantage. Perhaps if the protagonists of our story had more carefully studied the lessons of the past, their path might have been different. Or perhaps the outcome was predetermined, and it was impossible to avoid. In your opinion, at what exact moment do you think they finally stumbled? Write about it in the comments. If this story resonated with you, support it with a like. And to not miss new dramas and fateful tales, subscribe to the channel. Here, we speak of those whose fame was genuine, but the price they paid was too high. Imagine a past strewn with the gold of triumph and the shards of defeat. The stories we see are often just a cover, concealing abysses of intrigue, scandals, and decisions that demanded an incredible price. Today, we will uncover the secrets of those who stood at the summit and those who plunged into the abyss, learning why some achieved eternal glory while others vanished, leaving behind only whispers of disgrace. We will delve into lessons so brutal that only the most discerning grasp them, and see that even the greatest minds make mistakes leading to tragic ends. What if the key to success isn't genius, but something far rarer and more valuable? Stay with us, for the most astonishing discoveries await you. Gazing into the annals of bygone days, be it the majestic sagas of ancient empires or the swift chronicles of modern corporations, we are as if handed an invaluable map, marking all treacherous abysses and unseen reefs. The biographies of the great, profound studies of pivotal moments, tales of treachery and loyalty, of irreparable losses and dizzying turns of fate, all this becomes a beacon for those who dare to conquer new heights without losing their way. And this truth, this wisdom of the ages, doesn't demand genius from a person, only humility. Humility before the fact that many have already passed through the same trials we face today, leaving behind unambiguous directions for those capable of deciphering them. Look closely at the world around you, at the destinies unfolding before your eyes. Note those who soar to the heavens of success and those who slowly fade into the mire of stagnation. Observe those who steadily ascend the steps of greatness and those who rapidly plummet downwards, becoming victims of their own vanity, ill-considered actions, or blind overconfidence. Every movement of the human soul, every step on life's path carries a profound lesson. A mistake made in plain sight becomes an invaluable gift for those who know how to observe the consequences of others sometimes. Catastrophic decisions are scattered everywhere like ominous warning signs. But alas, the vast majority prefer to ignore them, immersed in the dangerous illusion that their path will be entirely different, that this fate will not touch them. Machiavelli, the great thinker, long ago realized this bitter truth. Narrow-minded individuals learn lessons only after their own catastrophe, while truly discerning minds learn from the tragic end of others. But their wisdom extends beyond mere learning. True strategists know how to adapt these lessons, these principles, to their unique reality. They do not blindly copy others' decisions. No, they extract the very essence, the fundamental laws of success and failure. What ultimately led the great Caesar to his dramatic downfall? What fatal miscalculations caused the mighty Napoleon to suffer a crushing defeat? What led to the collapse of an entire empire or the bankruptcy of a seemingly prosperous company? Names change, eras succeed one another, but fundamental mistakes astonishingly repeat themselves again and again, because human nature in its deepest essence remains unchanged. Mastering the art of learning from others' missteps means gaining an incredible advantage, saving precious time, building your plans on a stronger foundation, avoiding hidden cracks, and acting with pinpoint precision. The person who observes carefully becomes a person who can foresee, and those who foresee future events gain the power to govern their own destiny and the destinies of others. Therefore, read tirelessly, study deeply, listen attentively, but above all, reflect. Never neglect others' blunders, however insignificant they may seem. Turn them into a sharp weapon for your mind. For when you absorb the lessons of others' suffering, you shield yourself from your own. In this great, sometimes cruel game of life, this is true, unshakable power. But what if even the most discerning, those who learn from others' misfortunes, still face a trial that demands not just intelligence, but something far more difficult? Absolute, sometimes agonizing, flexibility? The eighth lesson, carved in the stone of history, states, be unyieldingly flexible in your strategies. For rigidity, this illusory firmness is in fact an unforgivable luxury for the short-sighted. Machiavelli, who delved into the deepest reaches of the human soul and understood the fragility and inconstancy of power, clearly saw whoever stubbornly clings to a single, even brilliant strategy is destined for crushing failure. The world, like a living organism, is constantly changing. People transform, and the scenarios of events are rewritten on the fly. And whoever refuses to change with this current will inevitably be consumed by a ruthless reality. In his immortal work, The Prince, Machiavelli reveals to us the truth that for true greatness and survival, it's not enough to possess only strength or impeccable virtue. One must be a skillful, masterful adapter. The concept of virtù, a cornerstone of his philosophy, encompasses far more than just moral qualities or courage. It includes the astonishing ability to adapt, the unique art of acting precisely as changing circumstances demand. This in turn implies a readiness to abandon outdated plans without regret, fearlessly reevaluate once unshakable ideas, and change one's stance whenever the situation imperatively demands it. In practice, this boils down to a surprisingly simple yet incredibly complex task: to know precisely when to show unyielding persistence and when to wisely retreat. To sense that critical moment when it is necessary to move forward decisively and when it is time to drastically change course. An inflexible leader may give the impression of unyielding firmness, but in reality they are as brittle as a dry branch that snaps under the force of the first strong gust of wind. The truly flexible, however, are like the majestic bamboo. They gracefully bend with the storm but never break, and it is precisely thanks to this that they not only survive but often thrive, becoming even stronger. Adaptation is by no means a sign of weakness. On the contrary, it is the highest form of intelligence, a mark of true maturity. It is a deep understanding that not everything in this world is within our control, and that brute force rarely resolves truly complex dilemmas. Sometimes what works magnificently in one context fails spectacularly in entirely different circumstances. And to persist, driven solely by blind pride, means condemning oneself to inevitable ruin, sacrificing oneself to a single, now outdated idea. Machiavelli understood perfectly that the great game of power, this eternal chess match, requires continuous, sometimes agonizing, adjustments. Those who lead, who dare, who exert influence, must be acutely sensitive to the subtle signals of the environment. It is necessary to listen tirelessly, observe closely, and reflect deeply. It is important to accept feedback, even if it causes pain, for something immeasurably more significant than one's own ego is at stake. Triumph, longevity, an eternal legacy that will remain after you. Strategic flexibility is, in essence, another facet of true resilience. It doesn't mean being fickle or inconsistent. On the contrary, it means being deeply pragmatic and farsighted. Changing one's approach isn't a betrayal of one's principles. It's merely an affirmation of loyalty to what truly matters. The greatest strategists of all times and nations were precisely those who, when faced with the unforeseen, masterfully restructured their grand plans without losing an iota of their core essence. And so we see how the lessons of the past, sometimes brutal, sometimes illuminating, intertwine with the challenges of the present. Perhaps if those who fell had been a little more flexible, a little more attentive to others' mistakes, their stories would not have ended so tragically. Or perhaps the outcome was predetermined, and only a few are capable of walking the razor's edge, avoiding predetermined traps. What do you think is more valuable? Stubborn adherence to a single idea, or the ability to change, risking misunderstanding? Write in the comments which of these lessons, in your opinion, is the hardest to grasp. If this story about the price of wisdom and flexibility resonates with you, support it with a like. And to not miss new dramas and triumphs of the human spirit, subscribe to the channel. Here we speak of those whose fates have become an eternal echo for future generations. Prepare for a dive into the dark depths of the human soul, where ambition intertwines with betrayal and the thirst for power dictates the rules of the game. Today we will uncover the secrets of those who dared to defy fate and find out what monstrous price they had to pay. You will learn about the cold calculations that led to triumph and the fatal errors that resulted in complete collapse. What hides behind the mask of greatness? What dirty secrets do those who reach the top keep? And why did some of them, having achieved everything, find themselves alone with emptiness? Stay with us until the end so you don't miss the shocking revelations that will forever change your perception of power and the price of success. Therefore, if someone strives for triumph, whether in the political arena, the world of entrepreneurship, or life itself, one should not cling to a single, unchangeable course of action. It is necessary to constantly change, adapt to new circumstances, reinvent oneself, and always remember, it's not the strongest who survive, but the most adaptable. History does not forgive those who stubbornly refuse to change, condemning themselves to oblivion. The 9th rule states, maintain absolute control over your emotions. In the ruthless game for influence, allowing emotions to take over is one of the quickest paths to losing control over the situation, over others, and ultimately, over oneself. Machiavelli, ever the astute observer of human nature and the mechanisms of leadership, understood perfectly that all important decisions must be dictated by reason, not fleeting impulses. This does not mean completely suppressing all feelings. Rather, it is the art of expressing them judiciously only when truly appropriate and advantageous. A leader who erupts in anger, succumbs to overwhelming anxiety, or blinding vanity instantly becomes predictable and, even more dangerously, controllable. And predictability in the face of fierce competitive struggle is nothing less than a fatal weakness, a one-way ticket to defeat. Machiavelli suggested that in moments of the most severe crisis, it is precisely the one who maintains icy calm who is able to see the situation without distortion, clearly and distinctly. The heat of the moment, the blazing flame of emotions, can blind even the most prepared and experienced. Therefore, a true strategist learns to recognize their emotions like adversaries, but never blindly submit to them. Controlling emotions does not mean stripping a leader of their humanity, but rather deepening it. It means possessing emotional self-awareness, that is, deeply understanding what you are feeling and not allowing those feelings to negatively influence your choices. It means choosing the ideal moment for action, for an important conversation, or for a strategic retreat with composure when vitally necessary and with empathy when appropriate and advantageous. In practice, this requires relentless practice. It necessitates practices such as mindful breathing, rational, impartial analysis of any situation, and the firm habit of never making important decisions under intense emotional pressure. A deferred conversation, a carefully considered decision, or skillfully chosen silence often proves far more effective than any immediate impulsive reaction. Machiavelli reminds us that the world is constantly changing and full of unimaginable tensions. But those who skillfully manage themselves better manage the world around them. Those who do not know themselves, who do not control their emotions, become their powerless hostage, and a hostage ruler will never be a strong ruler capable of leading. Therefore, when faced with the inevitable difficulties of life and leadership, practice composure as the highest strategic virtue. Maintain coolness, even when the situation heats up to its limit. For ultimately, a clear mind makes the most precise decisions, leads with undeniable authority, and triumphs consistently, step by step. The 10th rule states, build strategic alliances. On the grand chessboard of power, no one wins alone. Machiavelli, with his phenomenal, insightful grasp of human dynamics, understood well that a leader's true strength lies not just in their own remarkable abilities, but in the unbreakable solidity of the alliances they skillfully forge. Forming strategic partnerships is not a sign of weakness, as it might initially appear, but rather a remarkably astute move by someone who deeply understands that collaboration can be the most potent tool for achieving and sustaining success. However, Machiavelli also cautioned, it's not about forging alliances with just anyone who comes along, but only with those who genuinely strengthen your cause and bring tangible benefit. A poorly conceived, ill-considered alliance, based solely on fleeting momentary gain, can lead a ruler to inevitable ruin and a tragic end. Therefore, it is crucial to carefully choose whom you associate with, negotiate with, and most importantly, whom you decide to trust. In practice, this means seeking individuals with similar values and goals, with whom you can build long-term relationships based on mutual trust and shared benefit. It's not just about political or professional interests, but also a deep compatibility of worldviews and a genuine willingness for collective growth and forward movement. Effective alliances demand constant, unwavering attention and careful nurturing. It's essential to cultivate these relationships, be fully engaged, offer support when needed, and genuinely appreciate the other party. Strategic collaboration is a game of reciprocity. Those who give generously also reap generous rewards. Knowing when to lead and when to support is an integral part of this complex yet beautiful dance. Do you think those who followed these rules had a chance to turn things around? Or was their fate inevitable? Let us know in the comments when you think they finally stumbled. If you resonate with this story of triumphs and downfalls, show your support with a like. And to ensure you don't miss new dramas where the price of glory proves too high, subscribe to the channel. Here we discuss those whose destinies serve as an eternal reminder of the fragility of human ambition. His name has become synonymous with treachery, but what if, behind that shadow, lay the most brutal truth about human nature and the path to true greatness? They say his words can elevate one to a throne or cast them into an abyss, but only those who dare to delve into his teachings will understand the terrible price sometimes paid for power and respect. Prepare to uncover secrets that change destinies. For in the grand drama of existence, in the ceaseless dance of destinies and ambitions, every step, every movement is not merely an action, but a response. To give or to take, to lead or to follow, these are all integral elements of a complex choreography where each step can decide the outcome of an entire era, and any misstep can lead to catastrophe. Niccolò Machiavelli, the great thinker whose words echo through the centuries, even when discussing the harshest aspects of human existence, conquest, dominion, and the relentless thirst for power, perceived a profound truth. The very fabric of politics, like life itself, is woven from the unseen threads of relationships. A leader who stands alone is like a ship in a raging sea without a mast or sails, doomed to tragic solitude and inevitable ruin. Conversely, one who skillfully weaves a network of connections around themselves, who knows how to build bridges where others see only chasms, gains an unbreakable foundation, unparalleled influence, and enviable stability. Therefore, my friends, build these bridges diligently, seek opportunities for deep collaboration, be generous in spirit within your partnerships, but never let your guard down, for the world is full of shadows and unpredictable turns. Remember that a strong alliance forged in the fire of trials can be the subtle yet unyielding boundary between the eternal triumph of a brilliant empire and a solitary, sorrowful fall into the abyss of oblivion. It is in these words, steeped in centuries of wisdom and the bitter experience of human history, that Machiavelli left us a guiding thread, a timeless manual for achieving power, true success, and unwavering respect. By applying these 10 profound psychological techniques, like keys to the most hidden corners of the human soul, you will not merely become better prepared for the unpredictable challenges of the modern world. No, you will rise above them, becoming truly invulnerable, safeguarding yourself from any blows of fate, like an ancient bastion that has withstood 1,000 sieges. But let no one be deceived, for being kind-hearted does not mean being weak-spirited. It is merely the other side of the same coin. Protect your true essence, your principles, like a precious artifact, but play this great game of life with intelligence, a cool head, and a discerning eye, always mindful of the invisible threads that move this world. Machiavelli laid bare the truth, showing that the path to greatness is paved not only with noble intentions, but also with harsh, at times ruthless, decisions. He compelled us to see the true cost of power. What do you think? Is it possible to achieve true success without getting your hands dirty? Or are his lessons simply an unavoidable truth about the human world? Share in the comments which of his principles you find most controversial and why. If this story has given you food for thought, show your support with a like. And to ensure you don't miss new chapters about the destinies of those who challenge the world, subscribe to the channel. Here we discuss greatness that comes at a high price.